Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Driven Wild. Today we are talking about the major problem with order cancellations and unassigns on Uber Eats. One of the common things with food delivery these days is orders needing to be canceled or unassigned because an order was already picked up by someone else. That said, Uber Eats has created a toxic system for gig workers to increase the odds of mass deactivation to getting free labor out of you. I had two incidents in the past couple of weeks that really fully encapsulated the issue in the gig economy and on the Uber Eats platform. So in this video, we are talking about the major problem with order cancellations and unassigns on Uber Eats, what they are saying versus how it actually is, and everything in between. But before we do that, let's go over a quick disclaimer. The content of this video does not contain, is never intended to be, legal, business, financial, tax, or health advice of any kind. This video is for entertainment purposes only. It is advised that you conduct your own research and consult qualified professionals before applying anything you find online. I also want to be clear that everything that we're going to be going over is very market to market and case by case. What applies to me in my market may not apply to you. So with that said, let's get started. The difference between canceling and unassigning. Before I go too deep into the two stories that I have on this, I do want to talk about the difference between canceling and unassigning. Canceling an order on Uber Eats from a driver's perspective means that the order is reported to the platform itself and removed from the pool of orders because the order cannot be fulfilled. In most cases, the reasons are outside of a driver's control. Orders that are canceled are also due a cancellation fee, which they have been claiming they don't do anymore, but I haven't done this enough times to prove otherwise. Now, unassigning an order on Uber Eats means that the order was removed from your account and re-enters the delivery pool. Whether that was because they didn't want to deal with support or they just didn't want to complete the order for whatever reason, maybe that's a long wait time. There are a multitude of reasons why someone should unassign. I've actually made a video talking about that as well. But that also means that they are surrendering any compensation that comes from it. There is a huge difference, and a lot of people get it wrong because Uber doesn't explain that very well and would rather confuse you as a driver than make clear distinctions. Like, if you go to unassign an order, they still call it canceling. My unassigned story. So after I finished another order in the same area, I ended up getting a solid paying order for KFC. And while I wasn't feeling 100%, I still decided to go for it. When I arrived at KFC, they told me that somebody else had already picked it up. Shocker. Now, normally I would call Uber Eats and have the order canceled and get my cancellation fee that way. But honestly, I don't know what it was with me, but I just wasn't in the mood to deal with support. I was just not in the mindset to deal with it at that moment. And I even made a video about it. And someone made a comment about being emotionally mature. In the end, it really was just negligence on my part. Because what ended up happening is I got a notification later saying that the order was reported and marked as not picked up, which is odd because I've had other orders like this before and never had anything pop up like that. Suddenly I got it a few times. Bud Soda also made the clarification in one of our Gone Wild episodes, and that was a result of someone complaining about not getting their order picked up, and the backlash came down on everyone who didn't pick it up, regardless of whether they were the problem or not. And by the way, if you guys want to stay in the know of what we are talking about in the gig economy on a regular basis, make sure to check out our new channel, the Gone Wild Live Clips and Podcasts, where I take the live streams we hold on Thursdays at 9, cut them down to more digestible clips, and have them posted there. But regardless, Uber claims this is a notification for educational purposes, but those of us who have been around the block know better than to believe that. At least on face value. My cancellation story. Not too long after that, I got an order from Sushi Saki, which opened up near me. And once again, I arrived and the order was picked up by someone else. That was the second time that week. And since this was fresh off the last incident that I had, I decided to call support. Uber really made it difficult to get past their AI chatbot for some reason, but I was able to get on the phone with a support agent, which turned out to be just very odd. Because the normal chatbot pathway pathways that I used to use to just get to an agent weren't letting me hop on the phone with them anymore. And of course, the phone call itself was weird too. First of all, the way she was asking me to confirm that I was asking her to cancel the order, why would you need me to verbalize it so clearly unless you were planning on twisting my words and my intentions? They already do this to a certain degree in the earnings activity page. Have you ever noticed how they always claim that you canceled the order even though it was outside of your control and the support agent on the phone had the order canceled? If it ever came down to evidence, they have it on the record claiming you canceled, and most drivers never have the evidence saying otherwise. It is also interesting when I call them out on that, they also chicken out on it entirely. Like, you know that you can't back up your own question with a follow-up. The fact that she wouldn't pay the cancellation fee right away is normal, but when I asked for a supervisor and he connected me, he made the point that the call was being recorded, and I made the same point that I was recording the call. Because whenever I do any kind of business call, especially to a platform that I actively do work on, I make sure my calls are recorded. But then he said he had to disconnect the call because I said that. What, you guys can record me and I cannot do the same? He hung up the phone, but he also did something really sneaky as well. You see, when they disconnect the call, you can normally go into the app and call again, but this was made completely unavailable to me. I found out later that they hung up the call, but they didn't end the chat in the system, which means in the eyes of the help section over the app, I was still on that call. They still haven't resolved the events of that call. And since they didn't want me tying up their system with their calls, they had to end the chat on their end before I could call through their app again. Usually what they would do is send me a message in the chat saying, sorry that happened due to our policy, we cannot pay you, blah, blah, blah. Whatever bullshit that spews out of their left nut. The only way I was able to hop back on the Uber support number was to call it directly, have it open the chat for me in the app, and then request to make a live call again. I had to use the roundabout way. That said, I hopped on the phone again. Third support agent gave me the silent treatment and did effectively nothing. Literally. The fourth support agent put me through to a supervisor, and that supervisor gave me the one-time courtesy, which I get a lot, so don't let their kind fool you. I also got a chat saying that I got $10 as well. Also, the next morning, I got an email about the whole support chat ending, and sorry for the inconvenience, which, no, you're not, because you wouldn't have done that in the first place if you really were. You knew what you were doing. The Catch-22. The funny thing is that it took a significant amount of time to get that done. Yes, I got the $10, but that's not always the case. They could sometimes give you 3, they could sometimes give you 4. And they also take longer now, and it's not always worth it. Like, I had to really maneuver the system in order to actually figure out how this worked. I understand it is the principle of not being paid what you are owed, but that doesn't make it worth delaying other orders. Like, you kind of have to choose between taking other orders or fighting for yourself. So it is reasonable to a certain degree that people have found it not worth the fight, so they unassign entirely, which is not helpful to the overall gig community, but it's understandable. Now they're punishing people for not calling and making it harder for those who do the right thing by saying you failed to pick up the order. Obviously, the ideal is that a driver would have the order canceled and take the point of support at face value. The ideal here for Uber is that the driver would have the order canceled and then take the point of support that they claim that they're not paying you at face value, and it's basically free labor for them. Yeah, no. This is exactly why I fight so hard, because I'm not wasting my time, my gas, my resources to not get paid, and no one else should either. Final thoughts. Look, the reality is that these apps are shady and they have no plans on being clean about how they operate either. As soon as you find one problem, you will either find another or they will create a new one, because they would rather dig themselves in deeper than do the right thing by their own people. You could say people will just leave, but Will they? Gig work is still undeniably flexible and valuable for gig workers today, and there are always new drivers somewhere. As much as I would like to believe they can learn, they are kind of learning in the other direction. You can't always expect the wrong people to do the right thing, and that goes for corporations too. This is exactly why I say diversify your gig portfolio, develop an exit strategy. The gig economy is an income bridge to what would be a long-term goal, not simply the goal. The less dependent you are on gig companies or gig apps in general, the more money you will make and the easier it will be to get out of the rat race. And one of the ways you can accomplish that is by building your own delivery service provider. I've partnered with experienced professionals to create a step-by-step guide to create a six-figure earning business in as little as 90 days. The course will guide you to creating your own business entity and foundation, methods to source restaurants and drivers with game-changing opportunities, access to top-of-the-line seamless technology for drivers and merchants, and resources and done-for-you contracts to protect you financially. You will also have access to high-level professional guidance to help you build your business foundation as you grow your business to reach greater heights. Check the link in the description to sign up and get started on transforming how businesses serve customers. Now gig workers get greater opportunities with you. We are excited and looking forward to helping you secure your financial future. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe. Check out my website, drivenwyld.com, if you'd like to learn more about the services and gig platforms we have talked about in the past and are offering to gig workers today. And check out our Patreon for full live stream replays, exclusive clips not found anywhere else, and other membership perks for self-employed individuals who want to grow and scale their business. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll